Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time. I think it's been almost a year since I've made any content, and I want to get back to it, have some ideas for some good videos that I want to make, but obviously it's been a long time, a lot has happened, so I want to give an update today on what has been going on, why I was gone so long, changes, new things. Obviously you see what we're in here, so I'll explain this project, and that's the goal for the video today. Towards the end of the video, then I'll talk about some of the upcoming videos I want to make, new content, new projects, stuff like that. Alright, so since the last video, the biggest thing that happened is that I got picked up to go to paramedic school. So because I'm still active duty Air Force, the school is a 4-month-long course in Tucson, Arizona. It's very condensed, very cram-packed, but it was a fantastic course. I learned a lot. Luckily, I was able to learn everything, pass registry, and then I got orders to go to a new base afterwards. So ended up selling the house in San Antonio, moved to the new base, which is Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then bought this house here, which is very close to Shreveport. There's two cities that are right next to each other. One is Shreveport, one is Bossier City, spelled bossier, but said Bossier. And so, whole new setup here, a little bit nicer house. Wanted to do a new garage, new setup, and there's a few things this house had that the other one didn't. The nicest one that it has is that there's no houses behind it. There's a view of a small pond, lake, bayou, whatever you want to call it, and just neighbors on the side. So a little bit more privacy and a little bit bigger garage, and then obviously I redid it, and so I'm going to show you the whole process from the way it was before and the steps I took and how much it cost, because I've seen a whole lot of people do fancy garages, and some people will pay people come in and do it, and they spend a whole bunch of money, and I'm not that kind of person. I always like doing stuff myself, and I like things done very particularly, and so I think it turned out pretty decent. I've learned some things along the way, and in the future I might do things differently, but I'm very happy with what the current setup is for this garage. So when looking at this house, one of the things I obviously wanted was a nicer garage. And so there's a few things this garage had that the other one didn't. It's a little bit wider here on the sides. Whenever you're getting out of the car, open the door, a little bit more space here, and then also on that side too. And then additionally, it has this little step up here and this depth, this space, in addition to the garage. The other one pretty much ended in length where that step was. And so this one, you can put the workbench up there, it's out of the way. It gives you the space to work on everything in here, but the actual workbench space up there gives it extra freedom. All right, so now we're gonna cut to some footage I have of doing the whole garage remodel process. I am definitely not a professional YouTuber, and I'm terrible at filming this kind of stuff, but I only have a little bit of footage, and I'll try and explain the process of what I did, and then how much everything cost exactly for all the product to do this, about how long it took to do. Yeah, whenever this garage was first looked at, it did not look like this at all. There was some stuff on the walls over here that were drilled in for the little bracket things that'll hold tools. There's a bunch of clutter on the floor. The floor itself, you'll see in some of the pictures, has some oil stains and some marks on it. The walls were a weird brown color. It was very much like so just a regular garage. And hey, I get it. Some people don't care about their garages being super fancy. Some people just want it to work and to store stuff in it. And some people just use their garage for storage, not even for cars. But the epoxy floor was really great in the last house. The amount of fluids and stuff that would leak from working on cars that we caught by that and wouldn't get soaked up by the concrete, you could just wipe it off, was super helpful. And so I wanted to do that in this garage, but I wanted to try a new color. So this is I think it's the Black Magic, Black Flake, something like that. I'll link the products for what I used. But it turned out pretty good. I'll tell you some of the downsides after I show this whole process of how I did this. Okay, so here is how the garage looked originally. I first bought the house. You can see the floors were stained, the walls are that weird brown color, and the walls even have inconsistencies in the paint where there's spots that look off color, like either they tried to fix it and it didn't work properly, but something happened there. Okay, so here's another picture you can see on the left there, that mounting bracket system, which I believe can be used to put up broom and stuff like that, but I didn't want to have all that weird stuff on the walls. There's another mounting thing on the far right over there you can see. And then even on the ceiling, you can see all those spots where either they tried to touch up the paint and didn't do it correctly, or something happened there. Additionally, these lights, you can't see it in this picture yet, but you'll see in the next one, they've got the covers in the lights and they have a very dim bulb in them, and so it really wasn't a whole lot of light in this garage, and it was hard to see much of anything. Alright, now in this picture you can really see how the lighting is not very good, and you can even more so see those spots on the ceiling where that paint was just weird and messed up. But yeah, just those two lights up there in the front, the back of the garage was almost completely dark. Could not see anything. This is just not the go-to vibe here. Also, you can see on the concrete to the right of the motorcycle there some inconsistencies in the concrete, either some patches. There's also a crack that runs along the floor there by the Harley. So yeah, all some things that tried to address with the remodel. Alright, this is an even better picture of everything out of the garage, and this was swept and vacuumed to get cleaned up and get ready for the project to start. And you can see the spots on the garage floor and inconsistencies in the concrete itself. The edge of the garage by the door does have a downward grade, which is nice, and that part was very nice and neat and clean. But you'll see how the rest of it had some work that needed to be done. Okay, so this was the beginning of the phase of planning, and just an AI image asked AI, hey, can we see black floor with white walls and white ceiling? And then the next image you'll see the other option that we went with. But this was just trying to plan out what colors to go with, because I knew I wanted to do the floors, the walls, and the ceilings to kind of reset this garage, because that brown color was just not the go-to. And here's the second image, which was the chosen paint scheme, color scheme. Called it the Oreo theme because it's got black on top, white on the walls, and black on the floor. Obviously has some of that flake on the floor as well, but this was another AI image, and it really helped plan out what to do, and I highly recommend doing the same thing if you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your garage. Now from here, I'm just going to shut up and let you guys watch the content. I did not take any videos or that much actual YouTube type stuff during the project, but there's some time slips and some pictures of the whole project, so I'm just going to play some music so you guys can watch that. But here's all the babies in the driveway once they were pulled out, all my toys all together. Hope you enjoy the show. This was the project of doing the whole garage remodel. Okay, so here is the list of all the items used. So you'll see it has the car kit, it's got cleaner, squeegees, brushes, everything, including the paint for the walls, the lights from Amazon. I'll put the links for all this kind of stuff in the description below, but I want to go over a couple things here. So you see at the very top, there's a 2.5 car kit and also a 1.5 car kit. That's because this garage is a little bit bigger than a 2-car. And from everything research I did, I found out that if you do the minimum of the 2.5 car kit, it will not be thick enough. It'll have some areas where it's thin, and so you want an extra kit. So I actually waited to do this because I went ahead and ordered another kit and then waited for that to show up before I went ahead and did this, and it was worth it 100%. Having the total of 3.5 car kit worth of epoxy and product really made it a good quality finish across the entire garage, including the lip in the back and then up the edges too, which I wanted to do to make it a complete finished look in the garage. So highly recommend making sure you have enough product for your garage if you do this as well. There's two different ways that you can do the garage. You can do the etch, the acid etch, or you can do a grinder. The proper way would probably be to get a grinder because there are some imperfections, like where there was cracks. Even though I did the repair, it's just not perfect. You'll still see a bit of a bump there. So the grinding really would be perfect to make the whole surface flat and smooth. But I didn't feel like going that extra step. I'd have to go rent it and everything. It was easier to do the acid etch, and so that's just what I chose to do. Obviously, I wore boots, put a mask on, was really careful because it is actually acid. It does do a good job of cleaning. You can see the difference in the surface, and then it makes it grab the epoxy. The epoxy has a better surface to bind to. But highly recommend prepping the surface properly, taking the time. This is almost a 2 or 3 day project, I believe. And it was worth doing the prep work to get it perfect. Additionally, the paint that we chose to use was actually an exterior paint. So the Sherwin-Williams had the best deal for a good exterior paint. Just chose a white and then a black for the ceiling, but I think it was actually a semi-gloss, and then it was an exterior type paint. So if I ever need to, I can wash out the garage with a hose, and if it rains and the garage door is open, getting water on this paint wouldn't be a problem. So that was helpful to do as well. And then you'll see at the very bottom there the pegboard for $30. There's lots of options for fancy pegboards. There's like metal ones. There's all kinds of modular interlocking devices, but it was just simple to do a $30 pegboard from Lowe's. Put some little 1x2s or whatever the small boards I used behind that was. I trimmed out the light switch, trimmed out the garage door, and then you have this massive mounting system behind the workbench to put all your tools on. And nice, cheap, and easy. The white matches the paint and everything, and so I think it turned out pretty good for the price. And then the last thing to cover, I'm sorry, this is a lot of voiceovers, but that extension you'll see halfway down the list for $58 was incredibly helpful. That extension is like 8 foot tall or something, so for ceilings, for walls, and then also for doing the actual epoxy on the floor, even if you stepped yourself out of an area and it was hard to reach something, you could extend it out and make it reach that spot, which was super helpful. Highly recommend getting that. There might be other ones that are out there that are cheaper, but this one was great. And then it had the same screw-on attachment that worked with the squeegee and the brush, so I could use it for everything. It was all compatible. It was really great. All right, so that was the whole process of doing the garage project. I'm gonna hit the downsides now. Obviously you can see on camera, just looking at it from the distance, the floor does look incredible. You can see the shine of it. You can see it looks so glossy and everything. But one thing is, whenever you run dirty tire marks on here and stuff, you can see when you get really close, it leaves some markings behind. You can wipe it up pretty easily. Sometimes use some water or some product or whatever, but it doesn't remain perfect. And it's almost like a car with really fancy paint. I want to keep cleaning it all the time, but it's a garage floor, so you don't have to keep it perfect. But like here you can see there's a little water there, and I tried to wipe it up, but it has a little residue left over. Also, having dogs, you'll see there's just some dog hair and stuff that will get collected. I even vacuumed already, but here you can see there's some dog hairs there, and it shows up very obviously here. Dog hairs all along there. And it shows up really bad on the black. So in the future, maybe would do the mats that go down instead of the epoxy, but this does help. It does protect the concrete from any fluids that would seep into it. And it gets the objective done, but it's almost too perfect. It's so glossy and beautiful that I want to keep it clean, but the point of having a garage is to be able to work in it, and stuff's going to go places and it's going to get dirty, and that's how it goes. All right, so to start wrapping up this video, I gotta start talking about the elephant in the room, which is the car is gone. Bruiser is in the shop right now. I did a bunch of work on it myself, trying to get everything perfect, and basically figured out that it was past my expertise level, and there's just some quirks that I couldn't get figured out. So sent it to a shop, somebody that has a lot more experience, and hopefully the car will get completely sorted out after this. I'll mention the issue. The biggest issue right now is that the MT82, the previous one, the stage 2, I think I already had mentioned this in some content, it had broke, and so I put a MT82 Calimer stage 3 in it, and then ever since putting that in, the car burbles and pops like crazy on decel. Not just like a little amount of pops and bangs, like worse than a BMW burble tune car. And I thought I was overreacting at first, and then I had Johnny with the Supra ride in it, Daniel with the Evo 8 ride in it, and then the guy from the shop as well, and they were all like, yeah, it's insane. It's not just like little pops, it's really bad. And I'm not a burble tune boy, so I think something is simple, something little is going on there. I don't know what it is right now, but we're gonna try to get it sorted. And then the car will be back, and then I'll make some videos on that. I wanna make a video on how the Calimer Stage 3 has been. I wanna make a video on the BL Fab Turbo Kit, how that has been. And then just an entire video on driving the car, what it's like having the turbo kit on it, if it's enjoyable, if it's good, all that kind of stuff, because that's obviously one of my favorite things to do is drive that car. And then the Harley over here, it's pretty much exactly the same as it's been this whole time. I did get a taller windshield for it. So the previous one was like 20 inches, I think, and this one's like 22, 24, so a little bit taller. So for me as a tall guy, that windshield now comes like close to my eyes, and then the wind goes over my head instead of hitting me right in the face like with the shorter windshield would do. So that's made a huge difference. Very thankful for that. I just don't ride as much as I thought I would. So I might get rid of that sometime soon. If someone makes a good offer on it, then probably try to sell it. But it's been great. No issues. Just I don't know, it's not as fun as the car. The car is way more fun. The whole reason why I got the Harley was because the car had issues and I was working on it, and now that the car is getting closer to being done, then maybe I swap it out for another project car. It always be fun to have another project car, right? Looking at Facebook Marketplace, there's a little bit of everything on there. Oh, one last thing. If you ever do lights like this in your garage, which these are awesome, but they have to get plugged in. And so the easiest way I found was to plug them in up there by the garage door opener plug, put them in a splitter, and then plug the splitter into a ALEXA plug. And so now that that works, you can just say, Alexa, turn off the garage lights. And there we go. Then the other ones are on a switch, and your whole garage is done.